Rahul Manjal. Welcome you to the fourth edition of E4M Presents Health and Wellness Marketing Conference. And we are thrilled to be here today for a groundbreaking conference dedicated to the transforming health and wellness landscape through the art of marketing. In an era where health consciousness and personal well-being have taken center stage, the role of marketing in the industry has never been more crucial. The demand for products, services and experiences that promote a healthier lifestyle is soaring. And as marketers, we have to be looking into this extraordinary opportunity to empower individuals and communities alike to embrace healthier choices. Before I start off with the conference, I'd like to draw your attention to the screen for an audiovisual. Let's have a look on the screen.
We have more gold here than the customs in Delhi. Customs के पास इतना सोना नहीं जितना आज तक और इंडिया टुडे के पास है।
लल्लन टॉप को ये दोनों अवार्ड्स मिले हैं। इनके अलावा लल्लन टॉप के तमाम शोज को भी अवार्ड्स मिले हैं।
ये अवार्ड बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण है और मैं एक चीज में बड़ा बिलीव करता हूं कि विक्ट्री एंड डिफीट शुड मैटर टू यू ओनली फॉर 5 मिनट्स। ये इसलिए महत्वपूर्ण है सोचना और समझना कि कई बार आपको सम्मान मिलते हैं लेकिन उन सम्मानों को साथ सजोकर आगे आपको बढ़ना है कि अगला सम्मान भी आपको मिले।
ENBA अवार्ड्स में ABP न्यूज की धूम।
सम्मानित पुरस्कार देने के लिए जो घोषणा की है उसके लिए वाकई में तहे दिल से आप सबका मैं शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूं। कोशिश पूरी यही रहती है, हम सब की एबीपी न्यूज में हमारी लीडरशिप की यही कोशिश होती है कि हम एक न्यूट्रल और अनबायस चैनल के तौर पर अपना काम करते रहें।
तो एक बार फिर तोड़ के जंजीरों के ताले, नए सपनों को पाले, बांधे सबको एक धागे। एबीपी न्यूज ने आपको आगे रखा है और आगे भी रखेगा।
Best Primetime Show English.
And the Silver Award goes to Times Now.
Congratulations, Times Now. This is with the news or at 9, Navika Kumar.
Silver Award goes to PTC News.
Congratulations, PTC News, largest coverage of coronavirus pandemic. PTC News, we are listening. The Langar Seva campaign. Congratulations on the gold, PTC News. Thank you for the applause. Really appreciate it. Coming now to the silver in the category. Rashtravad, Times Now, Navbharat. Congratulations. Rashtravad, Times Now, Navbharat winning the silver in the category.
At the start of the millennium, a vision to publish niche, relevant and quality content for the marketing, advertising and media professionals was realized with Impact magazine. From publishing investigative pieces to asking tough questions to the industry leaders, recognizing the big trends in the advertising ecosystem and bringing in a global perspective.
A brand new and unique global creative network, Cold Denser Creative.
How do you creatively solve a problem or push something, a conversation forward? So I love that a lot.
I just know that's very representative still. I think we have some really strong storytelling.
Impact has been the industry's voice for the past 2 decades. The magazine launched industry-first properties like 50 most influential women in media, marketing and advertising. Impact Person of the Year.
I am deeply touched by the recognition and the honor.
I accept this wonderful award with a lot of pride and happiness.
Top 30 under 30, which have over time become benchmarks for industry professionals. 22 years of keeping the readers hooked on to its in-depth coverage and analysis. Impact Magazine.
Well, we saw a few awards on screen, and let me promise you that tonight is going to be a night to remember because we also have the E4M Health and Wellness Marketing Awards 2023, where we see a lot of exciting campaigns, and it's time for some really exciting winners to join us on stage. But that's for the later half of the evening. But now, let me talk about the theme for today's conference, which is Rethink, Reimagine, Reinvent, the future of health and well-being marketing. The future of health and well-being marketing is going to be about rethinking, reimagining and reinventing as consumers are now increasingly seeking personalized products and experiences that cater to their very own unique experiences. Our esteemed lineup of speakers comprises of pioneers, thought leaders and marketing gurus from the health and wellness industry and beyond. Each one brings unique insights and expertise to inspire us to think beyond boundaries, challenging conventional norms and envision a healthier, more connected future for all. Our hashtag for today, as we all know, is right there on top. You can't miss it. It's hashtag E4M Health and Wellness. So make sure if you've got any questions, any thoughts, any comments, tweet by using this hashtag, hashtag E4M Health and Wellness. Now, before we start off, it's time for something really exciting. We're going to do things very differently. I'm going to start off with a panel discussion right here, all right? And this is about design thinking, how to create innovative and user-centric solutions, strengthening healthcare and wellness ecosystem through innovation. In this session, we have the privilege of hearing from some of the brightest minds in the industry who've spearheaded innovation in healthcare and wellness marketing. Allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists, and we should welcome them with a huge round of applause. I've had the pleasure of knowing some personally. Let's start off with Mr. Geet Rathi, Category Head, Man Matters, Mosaic Wellness. A big round of applause for Geet Rathi, everybody. Also joining in will be Samyukta Iyer, VP and Head of Marketing, Kaya Clinic. Joining in will be Sri Ram Padmanabhan, Marketing Director, Danone India. Also on our esteemed panelist list is Shubhadeep Das Gupta, Business Head, Gridzo. And from Troya, we have our Growth Head, Pritish Maharik joining in, and Vinita Joshi, Marketing Head from Numi. Our esteemed panel will be skillfully moderated by Harbinder Narula, the CEO of BW Healthcare World and BW Wellbeing World. Let's welcome our esteemed panelists with a huge round of applause, everybody.
Now I finally get an opportunity to say good evening to you all. So thank you, all of you who have reached here on time. And thank you so much, all the panelists, for being here before time. We've had a short conversation to ensure that, we make this conversation that we have useful to all of you who've come and joined us. Just to give you a little bit of a background, of the health and wellness industry from the perspective that I have seen especially the post-pandemic, the last 2 years, it's very clearly, it has been split into two parts. One is healthcare, as we know, which is more of the illness-oriented industry, the whole ecosystem around it, the hospitals, diagnostics, etc. But there's also a well-being space, which is you don't have to be unwell to become better, to become healthier. And then the whole industry around the health and wellness, and which is represented by the panel that is joining us here today. But the one thing that has really emerged very strongly out of this that I have observed is that the power of personalization beyond the messaging. We are in an industry where everything that we do is creating an impact on how personalization is there in the outcomes of the patients as an outcome of whatever we are doing, creating personalized experiences, and which makes it imperative for all of us to start thinking how we can personalize the messaging so that people know what they can expect. So that to me appears to be an important design thinking. You know, it's beyond, I mean, it's a mindset that needs to change, and that's what we are trying to understand from the panel here based on their experiences, their observations of being there in the industry and creating the messaging that they do. So, Sanyukta, you know, let me begin the conversation with you. How do you think that the industry is actually embracing innovation, out-of-the-box thinking, technology, while we are strategizing the marketing, messaging, and marketing strategies for the health and wellness industry?
Hi, everyone. So I think, yeah, there's a lot, like you're saying, the industry itself has evolved. So I've had the good fortune of, I worked in FMCG and then I worked at Abbott for a bit. And then I moved back to FMCG and now I'm with Kaya, which is kind of a mix of everything. So speaking from experience, I can tell you a few things. I think you were talking about, in the earlier conversation that we had, you spoke about the fact that there's so much that is not communicated, whether it's from the doctor's end or whether it's from the patient's end. And I think that's where design thinking can play a huge role. So for example, even something as small as how a patient would communicate what they're feeling. My stomach hurts every time I have a huge presentation, or I'm unable to sleep every time I'm stressed out. Versus a pharmaceutical sales rep would go and tell the doctor brain gut syndrome. The doctor would then translate it into saying IBS. There's so much lost in translation between each of these, each of these conversations. There is so much that is not told, and then so much that can be misconstrued because of that. I think that's where marketing can play a very huge role in terms of translating just the colloquial speak of the patient to the pharma company to then the HCP or the healthcare professional, and how do you kind of tie that entire bit up? I think that just the language, the human language itself can be oversimplified. That's one. Two, of course, if I have to pick, again at Abbott, another example was when we had actually tied up with Goki for the gut health division, and we realized that that was where we were talking about service plus pill and going beyond just, recommending a pill for the patient. And how do you kind of help them actually improve the quality of their life or lifestyle, so to say. So I think that's another good example of where you had Lou Coutinho as the brand ambassador, and there was so much to do with dietitians, physiotherapists, psychologists, which was again like a completely untapped space into pharma. I still think there's a lot to be done there because everything kind of begins in the mind. And today, most of the illnesses, like you said, it's not necessary that you're ill, but it's largely because of our mental makeup that we end up, the weakest part of our body kind of gets impacted. I think that's again where there's so much of digital innovation that plays a role. If I have to pick up examples of what we've done at Kaya, here we have actually leveraged the power of AI into our website to kind of ensure that there's a lot of skin analysis, diagnosis that happens right there. We're working on creating a chatbot where you can actually schedule your own appointments, because today fewer and fewer people want to speak to the call center, fewer and fewer people want to wait for appointment booking. I mean, we're so used to, even our food order today happens online, so why should it be any different when it comes to health and wellness? Another example is, I think doctors, you spoke about the fact that, about diagnostic chains, right? So we've actually been using our dermatologists as our brand ambassadors. We've just coined a term called skinfluencers, where they then become the voice for the brand. They then become the advocates where they are at the center of everything that the brand is doing. I think we were also discussing about Traya and Man Matters, and they were talking about a lot of webinars and coaching. And there's so much today in the space of advocacy that actually harnesses the power of digital and innovation and kind of brings that to life. So yeah, I think the possibilities are endless. I think there's so much that each one of us is doing, learning from one another, constantly innovating. And I think it's just getting, while it's getting more and more simple probably, it's also kind of making it a little complex. Because today you have too many data points, and I would leave that question to somebody else to kind of take that up. But what's happening is that because we have so many sources of information today, how are we actually then using it? Are we getting one view of the customer at the end of the day? Do we really know who we are talking to? Because there's so much conversation around cohort targeting and persona building and, you know, personalization, so to speak. But does anyone really understand the consumer end to end? And do I really know how to talk to you, so to speak? So I think, yeah, it's a very interesting topic. Like you said, it's a Pandora's box. We can all go on talking, so I'm not going to take up too much of time. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think this is brilliant what you brought out, because what happens is that I was listening to a speaker in the morning in the digital conference, and they said that technology can be really complex at the back end, but in the front end, it needs to be simple. So for the user, it needs to be very, very simple. And while, you know, you can use technology, AI, etc., to bring it out in front of the patient as to what they personally need, but for building the trust, you have skinfluencers, you know, because you can't promote your own product because they'll just run away. Geet, let me come to you. I mean, since we were talking of personalization, you know, what is your opinion? Is the role or the impact that personalization can make in the health and wellness industry? And the reason I'm asking you this is because you have products which are oriented towards men, and then you have another app which is working, or a platform which is working towards kids. How do you create personalization while marketing or creating marketing strategies?
Sure, thank you. If my colleagues would have seen that this is the question asked to me, they would have said it's a match made in heaven, because this is exactly what I keep discussing all day, and I'm pretty much obsessed with it. So there are two nuances that I would love to talk about, which we've sort of figured out over the last couple of months in our journey of trying to personalize things for the user. And the nuances are in how things change about the role of marketing when it comes to healthcare itself. Because unlike normal marketing, when it comes to healthcare, I feel the biggest difference is that here, the role of marketing is not that somebody is buying a product and your job is done. It's actually driving health outcomes. And health outcomes, more often than not, is not typically driven by just a person buying a product, right? You have to be with that person. You need to give personalization as an experience and not just as a marketing tactic. So that's first nuance, and I'll go a little bit deeper on that. And the second is that the role of marketing for the longest of time, I think, has been to stand out in the minds of the consumer to answer the question as to why should I go with you? The why was the important aspect. But as consumers are evolving, I think the role of marketeers and the role of marketing, especially in healthcare, is not just about why, it's about why should I choose you? What should I choose? How should I use it? Will I see result? When will I see results? There are a lot of questions in the mind of consumers, and typically marketing is inadequate to answer all of these questions. Therefore, closing the loop on my first point, if you really have to be with a consumer, then all of this needs to translate into personalized experience for the user, which traditionally cannot just happen by communication being personalized. I think for the longest of time, I think marketeers have been discussing about, oh, if it's personalized, you will see better CTRs, you will see maybe better open rates and things like that. But I think when it comes to healthcare, because the goal is a lot more complex and a higher level goal of driving outcomes, which is typically spread over a couple of months and not just in the instant of purchase, I feel that you need to have a very strong buy-in from the consumer himself, because healthcare is an investment, especially when it's not just about ill-being, it's about augmenting yourself to being better. There has to be a buy-in from the user as well. So the role of personalization in marketing today, I personally believe, is not just that you will be able to convince the user better, but the role is instead that a consumer should feel that, oh yes, this is for me, and the buy-in is stronger from the consumer's end. so that you're partners when it comes to driving health outcomes and not just a person buying a product for themselves. And I spoke about the 4-5 questions that consumers have in their mind. I think marketing becomes complex, and how we think at least about trying to personalize experiences for the user is, as you ask each question and the user gives different answers, you see there are different personas and different paths of personalization for the user. So the more questions that you're trying to answer for the consumer, that becomes a path for you to personalize experiences for the user. I do believe most of us today, at least while we are trying to pursue personalization, what we're actually doing is mass customization and not personalization. I think there's a lot for us to unlock in terms of saying that, yes, a user truly feels that this platform is for me. When he opens the app, what he sees is different completely from, let's say, when you would open the app. So that's something that we are trying to do. Driving health outcomes really requires a huge buy-in from the consumer. People are at different points of journeys in their healthcare journey. So we have to customize it and personalize it for them. So therefore, I really believe that personalization is the only way to go about to solving health outcomes for the users today.
So, Geet, you brought out, apart from talking about personalization, you brought out a very important aspect, because when you look at the people who founded companies which are related to healthcare, a lot of them that I've observed have a purpose behind it. There's a reason they got into healthcare businesses, And many a times as a founder, you're not able to bring out that why that you spoke of in front of the audience, in front of the target. And I think that is a role that the marketing teams have on their shoulder, that they need to brilliantly do it in an effective manner so that the why is known to the consumer. The second thing, you use the word persona. That brings me to the next question. Pritish, this is for you. When we are talking of creating a persona, in fact, all the marketeers have used this word, all the time. But today, when we were talking of personalization, we are trying to understand, and today we have a technology of AI, blockchain, etc., to help us understand and go beyond what you said, mass customization towards personalization, real personalization. So how do you think, Pritish, can we use data and analytics to create that journey towards personalization in trying to understand your customer in the first place?
Yeah. So, love to be a part of this amazing panel and representing the whole digital well-being industry, healthcare industry is just beyond my dreams. Now, if we break down healthcare and digital healthcare servicing into components, it'll be diagnosis, and then you provide a solution, and then the customer fortunately sees results, right? And that's when data analytics, we as all of us are leveraging user data to first diagnose what the user is going through, right? Now, because of our privilege, we sit in Bombay, right? And many other metros, we have amazing doctors who know what questions to ask and what are the common problems a user, a customer or a person will face in a particular age bracket. But let's say someone who's sitting in a rural town in Bhubaneswar, in Odisha, right? The healthcare facilities there are not that great. So this is when companies like us and a lot of other people who generate questionnaires or hair tests and apps to understand what parameters and user attributes we can take from the customer and provide a very customized and personalized solution for them so that the result which they intend to see, let's say in 6 months down the line, is properly curated and given to them, right? Now, let's say, and we have heard these stories from a lot of our parents as well, right? That the diagnosis only was very wrong. That the doctor suggested some medication which only addressed X problem of the customer but did not address Y. Versus when you take all attributes of the customer, let's say he's facing issues with his energy levels or with digestion. Now, hair fall can just be a symptom, right? Unless and until you address all these problems that he's facing in his life, he's not be able to basically feel more confident or solve a hair fall. So the nuances are very many, right? people come from various stages of life, various lifestyle problems, various genetic problems, and having like a structured approach to first diagnosing all the problems that are there with the user and supplementing the solution as per their problems is what data analytics leverages. And that is how marketing is solving this in order to deliver results, right? All of us are sitting here only because whatever solutions that we generated using diagnosis are providing results to the customers, right? So that's how brilliantly we've been doing it so far, and it'll only get better. AI, machine learning, is just a fancy way of saying it's a complicated way of if-else loops, right? And it's only because of the power of questions that we are able to diagnose it better. And the solutions are now out there, right? It's just matching it with the right problem. So that's how data analytics is evolving. Also, the treatment process is way longer, right? It doesn't stop with just providing, let's say, the medication, right? They have to follow it through. So based on the user pattern of using these apps and website, we understand who is basically consistent on the journey, who is dropping off in the middle, or who got bored of the treatment, right? So we nudge them using various messages and calls from the hair coaches and all these points so that they get back on the treatment and do not divert from their journey and help them achieve the results. So that's how data analytics simultaneously plays a part with the whole product, tech, and marketing to provide the needed results for the customer.
Vinita, let me come to you. When we think about marketing, whether it is healthcare or any other industry, you can't ignore digital today. I mean, I was listening to the morning sessions that 40% of the budget is now towards digital. So I think one comment that I heard in the morning was very powerful when they said that, you know, digital is becoming the new media, the mass media, the new mass media, right? When we're looking at digital, social media is a very important aspect of how we are marketing or reaching out or engaging with our audience today. What do you think healthcare companies can do to use social media to connect with their audience and also promote the products or services that we have to offer as a part of the healthcare and well-being and wellness industry?
Sure. So right before the panel, we were discussing how healthcare and marketing, it doesn't go together, because there is some sort of resistance from the users that it looks more like a push-based effort, whereas healthcare should not be. We should not be pushing something which the user don't want to take. So social media is a great way to kind of show the personality of the brand and create a pull. I think a lot of other panelists touched upon that you have to understand what the core issue is, right? For example, hair fall. Hair fall could happen because of multitude of issues. It could be because you have vitamin D deficiency or some chronic illness. But you can't just tell them that use our product and then you can get rid of hair fall. So it is the onus of healthcare companies to educate the users through social media or other channels that they can make the right decisions. Other thing is that social media is, everybody here knows that it's a great way to touch a lot of people. But I think from a healthcare perspective, it's a great way to not only educate, but also to learn. Because a lot of times when, as marketer, we build personas, it's based on who our ideal user should be. But unless and until you don't talk to people, you don't engage with them, you don't know why or why not they're buying. So I think there, social media can really bridge that gap, to just kind of solidify your understanding of why the customer is buying from you or who you should target. So I just want to close it by saying that, especially for healthcare, basically for any brand, but especially for healthcare, it's really important to take the onus of educating your users well, really safeguarding their interests and understanding that whatever you are doing should add some value in their life, be it in the short term or long term.
It's very beautifully you articulated the role that social media is playing, but I think, when we are a healthcare company or someone who's dealing with wellness or well-being, there's a lot of responsibility that we have when we are interacting with our audience. And I think social media is also creating a lot of, something that was missing earlier, but because of the advancement of technology, we are able to now have a two-way conversation if you really use the technology well. And what you really brought out was a very important aspect. It's not just about creating education or creating awareness. It is also about listening in terms of what is needed or what is the feedback. And I think the second aspect of social media that I personally feel that can be really impactful is creating an influence. Because something that you can't do yourself, the other influencers can do for you, and that has created a faster acceptance of receiving the knowledge and information about the company and the products that we do. So thank you so much for sharing that. Shubhadeep, Subhadeep, yeah?
Shubhadeep is correct.
Okay. Whatever we do, whatever we are trying to do can't be without challenge. I've not come across anything which has been like straight success. So what are the challenges that we as marketeers are facing, specifically when we are trying to innovate and do something which has never been done in the past when it comes to healthcare and well-being industry? And what, if there are challenges, there has to be a solution. So if you can identify the challenges and share with us, what could be the possible solutions to those challenges?
Sure. Thank you. So I look after the child nutrition category at HealthCart, and I'm very intrigued by my position here today because I have to talk about the challenge while most of the other people have talked about the solutions, right? But okay, let me start with the challenge. So there are two aspects to this. One is marketing and one is healthcare. And the third aspect is innovative marketing. What we understand by that is usage of technology, AR, VR, augmented reality, or whatever the technical terms of those are. But basically what it does is gives larger than life immersive experience to the consumer, right? So we've seen the recent Britannia ads, AI ads, and we've all been very fascinated. But those are done to trigger an experience, trigger a very positive reaction and affinity quickly, right? Now coming to healthcare. Healthcare is a tricky area. So here this marketing is driven by providing information. Now information is boring. Now using technology, suddenly you try to make information very, very appealing is tough. So I'll take an example from Praya. You use AI and make baldness very, very lively. Yeah, I don't know whether you will get consumers or lose them, okay? So how to present information is a big challenge when it comes to technology for healthcare companies. And the second thing I think is plethora of information, the massive amount of information that we have to give because we have products and then 20, 30, 50 ingredients. Each ingredient has a role to play in solving some specific aspect of the health problem, right? So how much information can you really pack with the current attention span of consumers, which is less than 3 seconds probably, right? Why should anybody see your ad at all, no matter how much digital you are using or whatever you are using, right? And the third aspect is information at 2 points. One is moment of truth when I'm searching for it. That's when chats, etc. maybe are helpful. But when I'm not searching for it and you're pushing it on my Facebook feed or my Insta feed, am I really wanting to know that information? So that's the challenge, okay? And now coming to solutions, I'll just take 2 examples out of what we have done at Grizzo. And Grizzo is, I used to call it a personalized child nutrition brand, but after today I'll call it mass customized probably. But we have a huge number of SKUs. I mean, Grizzo is a child nutrition brand for children from the age of 4 to 13 plus, and we have huge number of SKUs catering to minute cohorts of needs, age, gender, health goals, etc., and we kind of customize and cater to consumers with specific needs. Now you can understand, now we have with 30 SKUs, you cannot really give all that information in one ad, right? So for the first challenge was how to identify the right persona. So we went through a lot of learning and we figured out a method through which now we've been able to drawn a matrix of the key benefit, the key cohort, and the key outcome. Okay, so these three are triangulated, and we do not launch with one content. We'll launch anything that we do right now in any of our campaigns. We launch with multiple of campaigns, and in these three axis. Okay, and the second part, I think, where about providing information in an interesting way, we experimented with gamification, and that really worked for us. So we kind of created a game where the mothers will go into their regular routines with their children. They'll pick up things that they are cooking or giving to the child, and the game would tell them what kind of calories, what kind of nutrition benefits are going per day. Along with that, it will showcase how Grizzo can help and help in the child's growth. So it's like one content which gets customized through an AI-enabled engine at the back end as per your need. But it's one content when I push it through Facebook. So I think that was one of our very, very good campaigns. So, and real life example. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because while the
Just wanted to add to the challenges, right? And obviously, a lot of our companies have a specific R&D teams who do the research. But even now, if you go to any Google or like social media app and you search a symptom, it will eventually lead to cancer, you having cancer, right? Because there is so much information and noise, like you rightly said. But you have to trust the experts because there's so much work that has been put in. So that's one main challenge which I would like to add to. Also, it's the expectation of the results, right? I think people are so used to getting deliveries in 10 minutes right now that they also expect healthcare to solve problems in like a week or so, which realistically is not possible in any good treatment would take a longer duration to provide those visible and sustainable results. So yeah, these two are.
I think brilliantly put, but what really also came out was that the challenges could be there, but the solutions need not be very technically advanced. It could be simple things that you could do to overcome these challenges. Shriram, my last question to you, and one of the very important ones, because when we are looking at marketing, innovation, doing things out of the box, we also are working in an industry which is highly regulated. Whether it is healthcare services, whether it is wellness services or wellness products per se. How do you create a balance between innovating your marketing strategies and ensuring that you are complying to the regulation that is there?
Thanks, Aurobindo. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me. I think all that we spoke, will come to nothing if we are not compliant. So I think, especially, when we are dealing with health, and I think what we need to understand over here is why this is so. And this is so because when we are in the space of health, we are in the space of trust and credibility. Unlike any other category, which is more transactional, let me put it that way. When it comes to health, I think somebody spoke about, health outcomes, it takes a lot of time. So you are in for some time and you are here because there is something which is bothering you and something which not just might be bothering you, but it might be affecting your family as well. So trust and credibility is extremely important, and I might actually even counter argue on this. If you are able to build that in a compliant way, that could actually be a differentiator. Because the sales that you are trying to drive in can help you in the short term, but if you have to build a long-term business, a viable business, trust becomes extremely important. So there are a couple of things that I think as marketeers, and personally I have applied over the years that I have worked in different companies. First is, don't see compliance and regulations as a barrier. See that how you understand. A lot of marketers shy away from even understanding. That's someone else's job. I will go with my campaign. I'll go with my content. Now, whoever that function is in your organization, whether it's legal or whether it's regulatory, you see them as on the other side of the fence. And then you say, oh, this is not happening. So, but how many of us actually understand the laws of the land? Understand the regulatory framework? I think so that is where it has to start from. Second, my personal thing that which I applied, which I found it beneficial, is when you're thinking about your campaign brief, involve them. Make them as your stakeholders, make them understand the context, make them understand your objective as to why you're trying to drive it. I have found in many instances wherein they come with solutions which are even better than what you have thought, because they know how to navigate, around. So those are the couple of things, in terms of, how we should be looking, because I firmly believe that this will be differentiated. And I think something which was spoken about, consumers are bombarded with information which may or may not be right. That is the biggest issue anyone who is selling, in the space of health today right now, which means it's even more responsible on our shoulders that we do the right thing, and consumers over a period of time, if they get to know through word of mouth or through their own experiences that here is a brand which I can trust, with the information that they're giving, with whatever promises that they're making, over a period of time, you will have an incredible position. And if I may just also close, something which, was talking about on the challenges part. One of the challenges I feel, because health as an outcome takes a lot of time. Time is, the enemy in this, unlike skin, hair, wherein you have instant results almost, health takes a lot of time. And what happens when it comes to investment decisions, because it is taking time, you may lose patience. And if you're not consistent, then you may think your campaign is not working, but it's just that it's just taking time. So what are the right metrics you have is extremely important versus just looking at sales.
I think, thank you for sharing that, because, what you really brought out was the importance of responsible marketing, especially in the domain that we are operating in, health and wellness. And, as a closing remark, what I have taken away is that we are living in an era where healthcare is facing a lack of trust. And that is what your answer brought out, that as responsible marketers, it is our duty to rebuild that trust and look at compliance and regulation with a very different perspective. With that, I'd like to close this conversation. Thank you so much for taking our time to be here and sharing your knowledge with all of us. Thank you.
Can you have a huge round of applause for our esteemed panelists? And may I request you all to step forward and join us for a photo op right here. I'd also take this opportunity to welcome on stage Mr. Siddharth Dabade, Managing Director, MIQ India. May I request him to join us on stage to present a token of appreciation to our esteemed panelists. Let's welcome Siddharth sir with a huge round of applause, everybody. And can we have a huge round of applause for our esteemed panelists, right from Mr. Geet Rati to Samukta Iyer, who's always been there for us, to Sri Ram Padmanabhan, to Shubhadeep Das Gupta, to Pritish Mahadik and Vinita Joshi. And how can I miss out on our session chair? Give it up for Mr. Harbinder Narula. Zordar taaliyan ho jaye, everybody. Thank you so much to all our esteemed panelists and to Siddharth sir. Well. After that enriching panel discussion, it's time now to move to our keynote fireside chat. And when we talk about branding, there's one company which we all look forward to, and a brand we all look forward to, which is Amul, an iconic brand synonymous with dairy excellence, has played a very pivotal role in transforming India's dairy landscape. The Fireside Chat aims to provide insights into the brand's rich history, innovative strategies, and impact on millions of farmers and consumers across the country. So it's my privilege and honor to invite the presence of Mr. Jayant Mehta, IC Managing Director, Amul India, on stage. Let's welcome him with a huge round of applause. And for the fireside chat, it is my pleasure to welcome on stage a gentleman who always inspires me, Dr. Anurag Batra. Zordar taaliyan ho jaye for the two joining in on stage.
Good evening. Give Mr. Mehta a big round of applause. He's come from Anand. He has a 10 p.m. flight. He has 2 more engagements in between. So always grateful to him for making his time for us and being here. You can take this and I'll take this and I'm sure, whichever. Yeah. So they will be able to remove some chairs. Looks like I need 2 chairs to sit, but that's not it. One is good enough for me. Mr. Mehta, one day early Jan, I called Naval and said, we must verticalize what we do in marketing. And that's how the E4M healthcare marketing domain was born. And, you know, now we are doing a BFSI marketing conference, a BFSI marketing awards, because every sector has its nuances. This is the 3rd edition today of the E4M healthcare marketing summit and awards. And health and well-being have taken a bigger role in our lives. They're more top of mind post-COVID. Amul is about nutrition, and in an interview 8 weeks back to Business World, you talked about how Amul wants to take over the kitchen of every Indian. So nutrition and well-being go in hand. What is Amul doing to be able to make sure this new trend towards more consciousness towards health is catered from the house of Amul? So we'd love your opening comments on that.
Okay, thank you so much for having me here. Was a part of the jury also, and the kind of event you put together was really fabulous, and happy that you come to a stage where you're going to felicitate all the winners. The point you mentioned is actually very, very important, and particularly coming from a category like milk. It's very important because milk is associated with health, it's associated with wellness, it's associated with nutrition, and also with taste. And more importantly, it's also associated with money. Every single household in India, the single largest component of food you spend on in your budget, in your month, is on dairy products. So that way, for this particular product to deliver all the 4 or 5 aspects of taste, health, wellness, nutrition, energy, and the wellness is what the job is assigned to milk as a category. So we at Amul are very conscious about it, and the kind of products that we make, the kind of attempt we make to highlight the goodness of milk, first as a superfood, as a very composite product, and then also talk about the sub parts of it. If somebody is interested in the energy part of it, then milk comes in different forms of fat content. If somebody is looking at the lactose intolerance part of it, then the product comes with a feature that is fit for lactose intolerant people. If somebody is looking for protein as a segment, we are looking at protein part of it. In product, somebody is looking at products without sugar. We have product portfolio around that. So all in all, milk provides that opportunity not only to serve products in the liquid form, but in the cultured form, in the flavored form, in the value-added form, the cheese, the paneer, the butter, the ghee, the chocolates and the ice creams and so on and so forth. So, and the mithais, and of course the indulgence part also, which is a part of the overall requirement of a household. So this is the space we are looking at, and very, very closely focusing on the evolving customers across different socio-economic strata, different lifestyle, age, and try to create a portfolio around that, which is very, very comprehensive, very composite, and more importantly, we have a mandate also to make the products available and affordable to all the Indians. So this is the kind of interesting challenge.
Now I have a set of questions. We sent it to you, approved. I have internalized them, but let me ask you some real questions. See, milk over the last decade, a lot of nutritionists have put out a lot of content about milk. How milk is carcinogenic, some have gone to say that. Some have said it doesn't help in weight loss, it doesn't aid weight loss. And hence, over the last few years, almond milk, soy milk, oats milk have also become part of the daily kitchen of a lot of people, right? There is an anti-milk movement. What do you have to say about that?
As I mentioned, it's a very, very large category. And milk is not just a single largest product that we have. The sum total, it's the largest agricultural product of India. The value of milk is 10 lakh crores. It is the total, more than the total of wheat, paddy, pulses.
And guess what is the turnover of Amul? Googling. Take a guess. Might give you, we're giving a good quality coffee hamper to him, though he went to Colombia recently. Hopefully it matches that quality. And I hope you have nothing else apart from coffee in Colombia.
Yeah, that's the only part, yes. Otherwise, I would have come back.
Yeah, but so we'll give you a hamper, coffee hamper. What do you think is Amul's turnover? Any guess? Okay, I used to think it's 50,000 crore, but it's more. It was last year 77,000 crores. Mr. Khona, you can sit here. 77,000 crores. And they have set up an ambitious target, which I don't think is ambitious, with seeing the growth of 1 lakh crore turnover. So it's very large. It is more turnover than levers. Levers is close.
50, 60.
Now going to 60 plus, but so point is Amul is very, very large company. I mean, it's a cooperative, but in terms of its turnover. So also there is a movement of well-being where there are different grades of milk, you know. So do you see a large enough target audience for that kind of price?
Yeah. So coming to the first point first, which is the anti-milk lobby. So there are a lot of people who want to attack milk and try to take away a share of the customers by perhaps misleading them, trying to talk about the bad attributes of milk and promoting the milk alternatives. So technically, when a product is not bovine origin, you can't call it milk. So since you mentioned almond milk, it's not almond milk. It can be called only almond beverage or a soya beverage or any other beverage.
Yeah, it's not milk.
So this is where we as a milk lobby, because as I mentioned, milk is a source of nutrition for us as consumers, but a source of livelihood for millions of producers. And it's the largest agricultural crop. So we have to provide the right information to the customer, talk about the goodness of milk, let the people who want to sell the alternatives do that because it's an open market, but you should not call milk, after all, denigrating milk as a category. So on their own, if the soya beverages can prove that they are good for the health of the customers or the well-being of those who want to consume, it's fine. But we are very clear that as per the food safety laws of the country, you can't call any product which is not bovine origin as milk. So you can see the brand names are now changed to soya beverage and almond beverage and so on. And then the customer takes a very conscious decision of buying any product, which is fine. So this is one. Talking about the grades of milk, yes, milk comes in variety of things. From skim milk, which is 0% fat, and more than 9% solid not fat, which is high quality protein and calcium, to buffalo milk, which is more than 7% fat, and everything else in between. It is people need milk for the taste part of it also, as much as the those who are calorie conscious. You will be surprised that the largest selling pack and the product is of very high fat. So this is where customers know the goodness of milk as a source of nutrition, as a source of energy, as a source of making ghee also from the surplus cream that you generate out of the milk. And that's what makes the product cutting across income groups and across market segments. And again, we did some surveys and found that people in the lower income segment consume the milk which has the highest fat. And some people who are very conscious of calories would buy a low fat milk. So this is the paradox of the market.
You're looking at me when you're talking of conscious of calories. I'm glad you're doing that. I am. Now, tell us some consumer trends that are big enough for you to be able to launch products with value addition to milk. I mean, you already talked about, you started doing, you know, Amul and pizza became synonymous. Your dark chocolates have eaten ice creams. So you're doing a lot of products which are value added. You know, milk is the base, but you're adding. Now, what are the new products we should look forward to coming from Amul?
I'll talk about 2-3 things. One is related to probiotics, second is to protein, and third is to organics, which are the 3 things which come top of my mind. One is, let's start with probiotics. Now, post-COVID, everybody realized the importance of immunity. And you need a strong gut to have a strong immunity and fight off the diseases. And probiotics per se is a category which is supposed to be a very elite category, very expensive. A small bottle of 60 ml costs you 16, 17 rupees. Basically not afforded. And again, affordable to many, and again having a lot of sugar and other things. So, one of the best carriers of probiotics is buttermilk. And we sell close to 3 million liters of buttermilk in simple pouches every day across the country. We did a very, very dramatic thing. Overnight, that bacteria in that buttermilk, the regular pouch chash, is converted into probiotic. So all the goodness of probiotic bacteria available at a price point of just 30 rupees a liter. No change in the price. The goodness of probiotic, proven probiotic bacteria added. And since the last 3-4 months, we have started this across the country, and consumers are getting benefit. More than 2 crore consumers are getting benefit of probiotic without paying anything extra. So this is the innovation which the country requires, but not necessarily we charge for it. But again, the concern and objective is to look after the health of the country, strengthening our immunity, and making India a stronger nation. So this is one thing which we have done, and it is really gaining momentum in a very big way. Second is protein. The country is looking for protein sources. Amul is the largest player of milk in the country, so obviously milk has 3% protein, so we are the largest protein player by default. We have protein in form of paneer, in cheese, and so on. But we realize that if we want to get into this in a space in a big way and make people aware that each one of us, irrespective of our age, we require 1 gram of protein per kg of our body weight every day. Now, if this is it, when we want Indians to do a maths, that if your weight is 60 kg, you need 60 grams of protein, where is that protein coming from? You may be a vegetarian, you may be non-vegetarian, you may be eating several things in your diet, but if you do the maths, we'll find most of us are heavily deficient in protein. You can't substitute the requirement of the country by importing the kala dabbas, the black dabbas selling protein powder, which is of at times dubious quality. So since we are the largest manufacturer of cheese in the country, paneer in the country, we have the best quality whey. From that whey, we have started isolating the best quality protein with the highest BCAAs ratio, and started selling high protein lassi, high protein buttermilk. We are coming out with a range of high protein yogurt, high protein cookies, high protein ice cream, high protein milkshakes, high protein milk, and so on. So very soon you will have a bottle of 200 ml milk, which will give you 30 grams of protein. And buttermilk already at 25 rupees, you get 15 gram of protein at 200 rupees. So all these products we are trying to bring in the market. Everyone would get a protein source in a regular product they are consuming throughout the day, without depending on the shakes and the powder protein which is available in the market. So this is what is the next level of our effort, and you will see this all the products being launched over the next few months, and that will make a big difference in the availability of good quality protein at an affordable price in a tasty format across the country around the year. And the third is the movement on organics. We all want to eat food without any chemicals, without any pesticides, without any fertilizers, and so on. That unfortunately is not there, and if organics are available, they're very, very expensive. So we have got onto this space now. We have launched a range of 8 to 10 products in organics, which is organic wheat flour, organic rice, organic dal, besan. We soon launch organic sugar, jaggery, masalas, and so on. So that is what you mentioned. Everything you consume in your kitchen, in your household, will be Amul organic in a very, very affordable manner, but definitely adhering to highest standards of quality and lab tested right from sourcing to the finished products.
Absolutely. I do contribute to that volume of buttermilk. I turned vegetarian a couple of months back, and I do consume some of your products, and I can say that Amul has been launching new products at a very fast pace, especially in the last 6 years. Almost every quarter there is a new product range in some new product category, or a kind of sub-variants which are premium in an existing category. Now, what are the trends you see in health and well-being? You talk to probiotic, you talk to protein, and you talk to organic. All three are very real movements. Okay. What are the other trends that are happening in the health and well-being domain that the audience should be taking note of?
Another one to add on to this is free from anything. So lactose-free products, sugar-free products. Now these products have also started gaining acceptance. So we are developing a range of products around this category also. The third thing is, one more thing is, which is catching on is people moving on from loose and unbranded to package and branded, which means dramatic shifts happening not just in the fresh milk product category, but also paneer, also khoa, also mithai. So you need, mithai may be treated as an indulgence product, but if you are having mithai of bad quality, it gets into the space of bad health, and obviously it's not good for the consumers. So we are launching a range of fresh mithais in a variety of forms and variety of regional tastes and preferences, which would help consumers get best quality mithai, have the indulgence but without compromising on the health part of it. And same thing, fresh cheese, which is cottage cheese, paneer also is a trend which is catching on very much, and people moving from non-vegetarian find paneer as a very good form of food item which they can consume daily, and that's another trend of it. Then obviously many other things which are not directly related to our business, but in the space of agricultural products like the dairy snacks, the potato snacks, honey, all these things we are trying to bring in the goodness of what the farmer has to offer and the consumer is willing to try. And that is what our innovation is working on, to variety of spaces. And then the indulgence part also, be it ice creams and innovating in various flavors and formats of ice creams and so on. So practically every single category or every single product that we operate in is very, very exciting, and the country is in a stage right now to accept all possible forms of innovation. And this is what we are trying to lead from the front, continuously innovating, developing new ideas, new products, trying out new concepts, and creating a portfolio around that.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. My last two questions and then we can take. Now, the Amul brand over the years is a very trusted brand. In our surveys, in many other surveys, Amul has come up tops in terms of, and food is a very high involvement category. Forget the price, it doesn't matter. How do you see Amul brand keeping pace with the new consumer, with the millennials? Second is, we've been talking for the last 1 decade about farm to fork. With what has happened in the e-commerce domain, especially post-COVID in terms of e-commerce becoming mainstream, you are as a company uniquely positioned to make farm to fork a reality. Give us some other product segments. You've already given us 2-3 new product segments that are not in the public domain that Amul plans to enter over the next few months or years.
The first part is the strength of the brand and the core strength of the brand. We talked about numbers of, say, close to 10 billion liters of milk that we handle in a year, or the turnover of $9 billion that we have, and the large number of consumer base and all that. But you are right in that point that, while we say all these numbers, our currency is actually not milk. Our currency is trust. And this is a trust on which the Amul brand is standing, trust of millions of our farmers who are owners, the 3.6 million farmers, and the billion customers who are there. So all that we do is wanting to build and strengthen on this trust so that whatever we do is seen from the perspective of not a product, but a supporting or offering of an organization which is trying to cater to keep both the segments happy, the producer as well as the consumer. In terms of reaching out to the young millennials, it is one of the most challenging tasks that we have had. There are a few things in our content basket is what we keep on experimenting and innovating. And we realize that advertising to this segment will not work out. So you need to create suitable content which will help this generation engage with the brand and think it is a brand which he or she owns. And this is where you start building on the conversations and take the message forward, and the consumers become the brand ambassadors. The case in point is the dark chocolate thing which you just mentioned. VS, the largest brand of dark chocolates with a variety of products, which is now quite a formidable range. But if you ask any person in India, how did you come to know of Amul dark chocolate? It will not be through any advertisement. It will not be through any other means of communication except word of mouth. So we built this entire portfolio because one customer liked a product.
Very good presence in retail stores.
Yeah, and you went to the retail store. The retail store was not stocking Amul chocolates. We were very bad in chocolate category 10 years back. But because you wanted this chocolate, because your friend told you, the retailer was forced to keep it, and today he has a range of chocolates available across this. So it was the pull of the customer with 0 rupees spent on advertising. And it's a word of mouth which created. So we realize that these are some of the categories where you cannot do advertising on billboards and print and TV like we do for every product. Because here the customer has to be your evangelist. He will recommend or she will recommend to his friends, and the products will build up. The e-com channel is very interesting. Amul was perhaps the first company in India to set up a direct-to-consumer cyber store, as we used to call it way back in 98-99. We were in 100 cities of India delivering ice creams to your doorstep along with the butter and cheese. And this was before actually e-commerce came into the country, before payments through credit cards were accepted on the net and so on and so forth. So we did this for 10-12 years. Then with the formal e-commerce coming in, we started working on with those channels. And now we are coming back with our own shop.amul.com e-commerce channel, in which we will be able to supply directly all these products I mentioned through our dedicated warehouses. Now, a biggest e-commerce company in India would have one warehouse or one DC per state. We have at the moment 83 branch offices, means 83 dry warehouses, 83 chilled warehouses, 83 frozen warehouses, and 98 dairy plants. So we are at a radius of 200 kilometers of every single city and town of India, already there. Now all this is being made e-commerce compliant, and today if you order something, in Bombay if you order mithai by 12 o'clock, a packet of 500 gram mithai can be delivered to your doorstep by evening. So this is the kind of technique and technology we are building into our operations across the country, which make us a very large e-com player also. I mean, we call it omni-channel because we are also there in physical distribution retail. So this is what we are trying to do to get closer to customer without charging anything. But more importantly, the entire range of products would be easily available through this format, apart from the million outlets and 15,000 distributors who sell the products. But let me tell you, every single liter of milk which each of our 3.6 million farmer gives is on the common software. So the farmer gets an SMS the moment he delivers the milk with the fat SNF percentage and the price which is credited, amount which is credited to his or her bank account. To every single packet of butter cheese we sell in a million outlets is on the same software. So we are a highly integrated cow-to-consumer company on an technology platform, and this will now be consumer enabled to make it fully available to everyone across the country.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. Please give Mr. Mehta a big round of applause for being very specific with his inputs and relevant inputs. If there are one or two questions, we can quickly take them. One question, right? That's from my Kanchan is a senior editor with us, one of our best writers.
Hi. So I would like to know how much sales you are expecting from your own D2C channel.
She's looking for a story for E4M tomorrow. Jayan Mehta says 20,000 crores will come from e-commerce.
I wish.
But on a serious note.
See again, for us it's one channel which will help us actually sell the innovative products. The high protein lassi buttermilk which I mentioned is not sold through any physical store at the moment. It is only available through e-commerce channel because the customer knows that this products, I mean he or she is used to buy such products on the e-com. So that is also giving us a good channel. In last 3 months we got more than 100,000 customers who are our regular customers buying online. So we are looking at a very, very ambitious number because I mentioned if we want to set up a warehouse, I mean 2-3 warehouses per state, the numbers can be very, very good. So,
but currently, how much comes from e-commerce?
Total, because we deal with the other e-com companies also, the Q-coms and the e-com companies and all. So close to about 5% of our total turnover comes from that space. But once we
that
do
is itself 4,000 crores.
So once we do it ourselves, the numbers can go up multiple times. Because in this case, the consumer will not have to pay any delivery charge. He will get a wider range available and closer to everyone, everywhere. So almost every pin code will be covered.
So can we expect this current revenue to double in the next?
Yeah, it should. It's easily possible. Yes, it's possible.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Please give Mr. Mehta a big round of applause. Thank you, Kanchan, for asking that question.
And it's time for a perfect photo op. May I request Dr. Batra to also present a memento to Mr. Mehta as a token of appreciation on behalf of the entire team. Let's have a huge round of applause for Mr. Jayan Mehta, everybody. And thank you so much, Dr. Anurag Batra, for that amazing fireside chat. Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for our next panel discussion. Yes, this is talking about digital marketing, the changing dynamics in health and wellness. This session promises to be an engaging exploration of the latest digital trends in the health and wellness industry. We have a stellar lineup of panelists, each bringing a wealth of knowledge and experience in their respective fields. Before we proceed, let me introduce our esteemed panelists. Starting off with AB, Mr. Ashish Bajaj, Chief Marketing Officer at Narayana Health. Let's welcome Mr. Ashish Bajaj with a huge round of applause, everybody. Joining in will be Senior Vice President and SBU Head at Alembic Pharmaceuticals Limited. Let's welcome Mr. Atul Suri. Zordar taliyan ho jaye. And joining in will be Vice President Marketing and Commerce at Noble Hygiene, Karthik Johari. Let's welcome Mr. Johari with a huge cheer, everybody. Also joining in will be Head Marketing and Digital at Bayer, Ritu Mitta. Let's welcome Ritu with a huge round of applause. Going ahead with our next esteemed panelists, Head of E-Commerce and Digital Marketing at Galderma. Give it up for Mr. Sunil Nath. A zordar taliyan ho jaye. And our panel discussion will be moderated by Rashmi Thosar, the founder and CEO of Brand Care, who brings a wealth of expertise in the marketing domain. Let's welcome Rashmi Thosar with a huge cheer, everybody. Over to our session chair.
Hello? Yeah, I think that's working. Welcome, everybody. I think Mr. Mehta already set the ball rolling for this discussion. There was so much in his talk about digital marketing. Welcome to all the panelists. I think digital is here whether we like it or no. Earlier, everybody used to just watch television. I think today people watch YouTube videos of people watching television, then they make reels out of it, then they put it on Instagram, and then the reels are soon trending. And I think that's just here to stay. Within the health and wellness and pharma space, I think we've been a little bit slow in adopting digital marketing, probably because this is one of the segments which needs to be very responsible, very accountable, and a lot of compliances are there in place. So I think we've been slow, cautious, but very well-meaning because it's about the lives of people. Now within this, staying within the compliances and the regulatories and being responsible, several marketeers have made a very good start and have driven the digital marketing space very relentlessly. And we are here to hear from them today, and we'll set the ball rolling with what's happening with the latest digital trends and what are the newest digital trends. I think we'll start with Atul. How about you?
Hi. So there's this funny thing about digital trends. If I were to get into the buzzword of the season, which is ChatGPT, and say, okay, digital trends kya hai? They'll straight away bark at you, IoT, blockchain, AI, ML. But those are not trends. Those are tools. And I tell my teams often that whenever you think of trends, think about who that person is, that patient. For pharma, it's a patient. For wellness, it could be any human being. What is happening to that human being? What are the trends that you see with that person? Because we're talking digital marketing here. Who is it for? It's for that guy or girl over there. So let's look at what are the causal factors, the behaviors of those people that will automatically dictate the trends. And today, anything can be applied, digital can be applied to anything. So we're all marketeers here, I assume. And marketeers, the best thing about them is if you don't come up with 4 Ps or 3 As or something like that, nobody gives them enough bhav. So I've also done that, and I've come up with 5 Cs as far as, causal things that create trends, really, keeping an individual or a human being or a patient in mind. And the first C really is consciousness. Today, every person is conscious about health and wellness. Whether COVID did that, whether looking good on Instagram did that to them, I don't know. But the point is today, everybody is conscious of their health and wellness. So as marketeers, what are the trends that come out is something that's what we need to see. Can we bring in awareness of diseases? Can we bring in awareness of cures, very broadly speaking? So that's what you as a digital marketer need to focus on. How can I bring in more consciousness so that he's drawn into our product or our service or whatever it may be? That's the first C. The second C I call is control. Today, every individual wants to be in control of his or her health and wellness. It's as simple as that. How does that relate to a digital thing? Whether it's going to be wearables, whether it's going to be Internet of Things that, okay, I have a reminder or an alert that comes to me that spikes me to take a medicine in time, whatever it may be. How can I then, as a digital marketer, leverage that? So getting into the mind of a patient or an individual who wants to take things into control, personalized, they want to do it themselves. They're looking at personalized diet charts coming in for them. How can I provide that for them as a digital marketer? What is it that I can play on? That's the second C really with an individual. The third thing is, and everybody from the pharma industry will tell you, it's all about the patient journey. Yes, it is, but it is care at the end of it all. That's something, it has to be outcome-based care. How can that care be given? Now, is this what my target audience is thinking? How can I leverage in digital into this? What can I do for care? Can I make it personalized again? How can my communication go out to them? So look at these 3 behaviors as far as the individual is concerned. Now we're all in companies. The other C related to more of, as marketeers doing things themselves is something that I call of convergence. Now convergence, the simplest thing today everybody thinks of is health and technology, and that's actually the trend that's going to catch up and is already there. The bus is already moving. If you're not on the bus, and like I did, like the way she brought it out, that pharma industry has been rather slow in not just adapting to or adopting, but even absorbing technology really. I was at a panel some time back, and a fellow pharma from a ranked top 5 companies was also on the panel. He didn't like that, so no. So I asked him a simple question. I said, when was the last time you actually went to a bank? I mean, you're doing everything sitting at home on your device, but tell me, before COVID, how often did you actually get into telemedicine or Practo or what of those other platforms may be? We have been late as an industry to absorb digital technology. And I'm not talking manufacturing, I'm not talking research and development. Actually, I'm also talking research and development here. How much of AI have we leveraged in NDD, a new drug discovery coming about? I mean, the fact of the matter is we hardly have an NDD as a country today. But we have been rather slow in adoption of digital. But I think digital marketing also we've been slow, but I think we're on the bus now. We just need to propel further. So it's about convergence. It's not just convergence about health and technology. When I look at convergence, I look at data. Everything that we have has to be a data-driven decision. And data is not just about, okay, how many hits, this, that, and the other. Every little thing that concerns a patient or concerns an individual, what is he doing, how's he, where does he work? Every little thing is an input to you. AI can get that for you. AI is listening at all points of time. And therefore, what you need to do is to focus on this aspect, firstly, health and technology, and second, get data to everything that you do. Whatever you do based on a data decision will willy-nilly be absolutely correct. And the last C, when we talk about companies at our levels, I talk about collaboration. Today, without collaboration, you can do nothing, even in the digital health tech space. What is collaboration? Collaboration can be big plus big. A fine example could be the vaccines that came about, Pfizer collaborating with BioN and being manufactured by Sanofi, arch rivals otherwise, but they collaborated for a cause at that point of time. It could be big and small, a big pharma company collaborating, like we were at a pre-meet, all of us were sitting, and we were trying to see how we can help each other. Ennett said, I'll step in and help you because he's into sanitary napkins and things like that. I was trying to get a piece of the cake and tell him, 3 gynecology teams from the others report into me. So, and I cover 30,000 gynecologists every day. Can I collaborate with him? So I'm not saying I'm big and he's small, but I'm just giving you an example how collaboration also works. Small and small also works. So you need to have a collaborative mindset, bring in the digital piece into it, and you will see that we guys are actually rocking. I've, I think, taken a little more than the time that you allotted to me. My apologies for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Atul. I think I was just telling somebody this, a lot can happen over coffee has never really worked for me. But I think it has worked for Atul, it has worked for Karthik also. I think many of these new alliances happened over coffee. That's a nice thing. There is one very important thing which you said, Atul, was of all the C's which are here. Since we are in healthcare, and care I think is a very, very big part of healthcare, I would like to move that question just a little bit more to Ashish, since they are in the service industry, they are in the healthcare services. Do you see, as Ashish, care is something which is going to be digitalized and which is digitalized right now? I'm going a little off my questions which I've sent to you earlier, but I think it's an interesting conversation to see whether how much of this care is really going to go into digital marketing and how much are you going to talk about it.
So I'll take the leaf from what Atul sir was saying about control and care will go hand in hand. It's working. It's working. So I'm saying control and care will go hand in hand. And there's already a lot of effort that has been put, but I think from just adding another C, that is the consumer. And what's missing out right now from both the health and pharma industry, I'm being an outsider just a year into the service delivery model, what we are missing out, we are building big ecosystems, but which is minus consumer. So the minute you put consumer into it, the care will automatically be into his or her control. Thus, you need a medium which is served at right in their palms. So I think that ecosystem follows brilliantly well.
Yeah, I think it does, and it should also, because that's what we are all about. Within the healthcare, I think care has to become like a really, really big component, and if digital, we have to use it, we have to put it to good use over there. Moving to our next question is about how is it that we are going to use data to drive digital marketing. Many have done it. I think Galderma has done it very well with Cetaphil, and we would like to hear from Sunil. How do you think it works, and what are the good learnings from it?
So I believe there's enough spoken about data. People say it's oil, fuel, gold, silver, platinum, and I think a lot of world has been given. But if you see that data is not just the data and technology is what create an experience. So I'm not adding another C, I'm adding an E. So it's all about experiences, and when we saying that we want to partner with each other, because consumer, when they look today, we all look that we want to sell our product. Let's say I want to sell only Cetaphil or something else, but I think ultimately we all come together to create an experience for the consumer. I think data, there are a lot of articles published recently. If we all know that there's a month back, there's an article that using data and AI engine predicted breast cancer, which is supposed to happen after 2 years from that data, right? There is a scientist called Scott Hayden who put some sensors into your mattress, and he analyzed that how you sleep, what deep you sleep, how you moving, you're not moving. So just think hypothetically that you're using that mattress. You slept deep sleep for 4 hours, you get up in the morning, you set up your watch thinking that I'll do a 30-minute cardio, and watch it saying, sorry, you're not slept well, you just do 10-minute cardio. You do a 10-minute cardio, then you move towards your freezer and think that I'll have to eat something. And then your freezer saying, okay, hello, you have not slept well, you just did 10-minute cardio, you only drink juices. So how this is going to possible? This is all will be possible using the data and how the data will be integrated. So if we look, there is no one company who can do this. There's a multiple company will come together. Utilize this data very well and then create experiences. Now coming into our industry like skincare, yes, we are utilizing data, how effectively it's working very for us. But if you ask me what is going to happen in 3 years using data, we all know there are a lot of apps available online which can analyze your face and tell you that your skin is oily, your skin is dry, your skin is combination skill, and everybody use the same product. But let's say company come with an offering that, okay, you use my app, analyze your skin, and then after that you sign a subscription that for next 1 year you utilize my product, but I'll create a product which is specific to Sunil. Nobody will have that kind of, I say, precision for a consumer. So when you create that product, give it to that Sunil, I'm sure not using for 1 year, but using for so many years. So then what you're creating there is experience, individualized, personalized, and that's all possible with the data, otherwise it's not.
So what you're saying is using of data for more personalization, for more personalized experiences. Have you begun doing that? Do you have any kind of live cases that you might be putting that to use? Though I don't very much like this word data. I don't want to be a data. But yeah, that's how it's being used.
But in these days, data is not data. So in these days, everybody is individual, and if you ask us, have we utilizing? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So we analyzing who's buying our cleanser, what is the frequency they're buying, how can I auto send him the another third order after analyzing 2 purchases? If he's buying only 2, what I can pitch is another thing. So data is not a data for us these days. It's each individual, their patterns of buying, consuming, behaving with us, and then accordingly we interact with them using our marketing channels. It may be your Salesforce Marketing Cloud, then you can add up to WhatsApp, SMS and everything into that, and this is how we are using that data.
Right. Are there any kind of patterns which you're seeing particularly to the, say, for example, dermatology industry, where you see that, this is how you're probably going to be looking at data in the future? And this is how you're going to use it in the digital marketing space?
So I think there are different places where the data has been utilized. In these days, if you see the companies who are particularly in dermatology creating products for the skincare, if you see the entire market now moving into derma cosmetic, it's not only cosmetic, derma cosmetic. Now I'm sure people sitting here, 50% of them know what is niacinamide, what is hyaluronic acid and all that. If you see now, companies started mentioning this. So companies making products humanized, not doctorized. So they understood the pattern that what consumer are searching for, what is their need, what are the ingredients, rather than doctor writing it before that even consumer know what is his skin needed. And that's where you come into analyzing those data that what each consumer is using or searching for it.
Sure. I think a point well taken, because many times data itself can drive innovation after you see the trends which are happening. Coming to our next question is, which is very, very important, talked about very greatly within the digital marketing space. Everybody is going crazy with it. Everybody is just talking content all the time. Now, what are the latest things in content, and what is something special that you're doing with this content? And what are the great learnings especially for me as a marketer, for this panel here, and also for our audiences? I would like to pitch that to Karthik. Before you actually get onto the content, it would be nice, Karthik, if you tell us the space that you're in and where you're using the content, just for our audiences, so that they understand especially the category that you're in and the products that you're marketing.
Absolutely, would be happy to. So I represent Noble Hygiene. We are the category leaders for 23 years in adult diapers. We have the largest Indian baby diaper brand. We also have a sanitary napkin brand called Rio, which was the first one to launch heavy flow products in the category. And all of this came out from one of the C's, which Ashish very graciously added, which is consumer. I think being a blend of FMCG and healthcare, that's always put us far more closer to a consumer than would say from any other category, mostly which would be prescriptive in nature. To swing back to content, right? I think we've leveraged this in a multitude of ways, and one of the key things here is personalization. And I'm going to share some tactical inputs, stuff that has worked for us and we've experimented and we've learned for the benefit of everyone. Personalization has now gone beyond language. It's gone beyond cohorts and lookalike audiences, right? I see a lot of marketers and brand owners trying to figure, okay, content, etc. But there is no power unless you can create sheer volume of content, because that is what allows you to A/B test that with the right kind of cohorts. So for us, when you're talking about incontinence with adult diapers, anyways, a massively taboo topic. And I guarantee that half the room here, you have either grandparents or your own parents in your home struggling with this issue and they haven't spoken to you about it. Now, incontinence can be caused by diabetes, it can be caused by prostate issues. It's a regular feature in post-birth for women. And how much conversation do we see around that? Now, my team in-house, we have developed the capability with our own designers on stack using some of these beautiful generative AI tools to spin out 30, 40 creatives on, on a 48-hour cycle. So a diabetes search user is going to see a very different line of communication as would a mother who is trying to look, right? And again, consumer is when how you tie this all together. So for a mother, a very beautiful verbatim is, when you laugh or when you sneeze, you feel a few drops come out. And the moment you mention that in a very snappy 5-line copy, which you can use AI tools for as well, suddenly you start seeing conversion rates go up. If you know your people well and if you've become really good at marketing the appropriate kind of content to them. So my team, very proudly, we've received 3,000, 4,000 shares on our posts on our brands without a single rupee spent. This has happened on Rio. We've received 4,000, 5,000 engagements, and I qualify engagement as a comment or a share. Again, on like a 500 rupee spend on an adult diaper category, which, let's be honest, no one wants to interact with on a daily basis, right? And I would urge everyone in the audience to think of content far beyond the single frameworks that you're thinking of. For us, one of the most vibrant pieces of content that we do is ORM. So for all our ORM across our brands is personalized. And I would vouch all of you to think of how much value that would add if you get a personalized comment on every single thing that you post with the brand. For the price of 2 mainstream influencers campaigns in a year, you can practically set up your own team and get far better strike rates and add genuine value to your own end consumers. So a myriad ways to think about content. I think you have to expand your framework about it and you see opportunities just blossom.
Thank you. Ashish, also, I think I would like to ask this content question to you, especially because you're a service brand. And how do you look at content for Narayana Health? And before that, I also wanted to check, has your kind of content, I think there has been a change in your position from Narayana Hridyalaya, you've moved to Narayana Health. Has that, influenced your content in any which way?
Absolutely yes, because the thought process was to open up ourselves up for larger audiences in terms of that you are not being categorized as just one department hospital, you are multi. So that means that is the way the business was going and it was required to make that shift as well. And they did it 2017 and post that it has been a good, decent story. But if I pick up the content conversation, of course, what Karthik was speaking about comes from the kind of consumer that they are working with. We being no tangible product, all entirely service, it works with us not just only from a point of view of saying that our doctors have done some milestone surgeries, usually has been a typical content driving force for the entire industry. And when you see those testimonies, when you see that say for instance content going out of any healthcare brand, they all are similar, just remove the logo and put anyone, they will be absolutely same. So that differentiation, why? Because the content, the consumer and the milestone is something that every consumer is looking for. So that, again, personalization is one way where you are working towards what my big funnel user wants. And then you bring your entire strategy about solving, making it easy, bringing it to a layman, not having a CABG thrown at the neck of one of the consumers to understand that this is what my content piece and me as a brand look like. Those are hygiene. The minute you start solving for easy, understandable content, and I think content is equally proportional to the span of time we all have. From a days of watching an entire half-an-hour episode sitting down with the entire family to a 30-second ad reel, that's equally proportional to the luxury of time we have. So from a marketing base point of view, you need to move to that and map yourself as a brand to that journey as well. And there's nothing better than personalization in service care as well.
Thank you very much. So would you say that, to be, say, for example, to be good content on social media, you really don't need to be a marketeer, you need to be a member of the community. Only then you can be a great marketeer. If you try to be a marketeer, maybe then you're producing material which you would like to, put out. Do you consider yourself to be like a part of the member of social media and then think of the content?
So I'll say that it's kind of a very thin line, because both ways it can damage, because suddenly if you're part of the community, you're thinking very, very differently. So it's always the balancing game. But if you are as a marketer able to do that, I think there is no better golden ticket for you.
Sure. I think I've been wanting to talk to Ritu for a long time. Do you have any great cases or examples that you would like to share with our audiences on how Bayer has used digital marketing with their audiences in any space, whether it is physicians, consumers, anything that you can share with us?
Sure. I think, so before I share an example or a couple of examples of how we've used digital marketing, or effectively used digital marketing for driving brands to the consumers. So one of the questions I often ask is, so what is effective digital marketing really mean? And I think there were lots of different things that we heard in terms of the right consumer, the right content, the right context. So to me, effective digital marketing is really about when we bring all of this together. So it's really about reaching out with the right content to the right consumer at the right time in a relevant context. And when we try to get all of these right or relevant is when we create magic in terms of marketing or reaching out to our consumers. And this is true whether it is digital marketing or marketing otherwise. What digital marketing has done, or what digital has done, is that it has made getting these rights a lot easier. Because gone are the days when you could only reach out consumers from a demographic perspective. So today we are talking about, whether when consumers are using, they know about niacinamide, so you can actually find out which consumers are looking for niacinamide products and you can target them. So that is what digital has made possible. Identifying those right consumers as per the brand strategy and developing the right content for them. When I came into Bayer 3 years back from an FMCG background, one of the things I very often heard was that healthcare is boring. What interesting stuff are we going to do here? And I think one of the things we tried to do was change that. We talked a lot about how healthcare has been a little bit late to the party of digital marketing. I think healthcare has also been a little late to getting the right content, which is simple and engaging for consumers to understand. So, and within healthcare, I think pharma specifically, because there's so much science to it, how do you really tell that science to the consumer in a way which is simple to understand but also memorable. So that is really, really important, and I think that's the transition that is happening now. And that's helping a lot because you can't expect the consumers to understand the most complicated science and then be able to use the products themselves, unless we are talking about prescription where consumers are patients and they are rather acting on a prescription given by a doctor. So when it comes to self-care and when we are expecting consumers to buy on their own, it becomes very important that the content is also simple and interesting or engaging. So one of the things that we've tried to do is, one, talk to the consumers in a more contextual way. So a simple example I would give is that when we relaunched Saridon, now headache is something which has 100% incidence. It is relevant to everybody. However, different people get headache in different contexts. It could, for a homemaker, it could be because of the endless work that she does, for making everything happen. For a gig worker, it could be to do with the hours, changing hours that they work on, or for somebody it could be because of the EMI pressure or the financial troubles that they have. So one of the simple things that we did in the content was to create, I would not call it personalized, but contextual content. And then using digital, target that content, giving the right context of that headache to those individuals. So somebody who's actually looking for some financial related problems, you can serve a different piece of content. Versus a homemaker, you can serve a very different piece of content on digital. Yeah. And that has worked very well for us. In fact, when we started off, our objective really was to get consumers to act on headache, because one of the things that we understood from our consumer deep dives was that Indians, being highly resilient, they don't act very soon on headache, and they try to use everything possible till it's not they're not able to bear the headache, and then they take a pill. So one of the things we tried to do was drive that relevance. And using digital, using social media, creating topical content, doing partnerships to create more engaging content, all of this has worked very beautifully for us, to the extent that we've seen almost 9% more users enter the category of headache pills as a result of these interventions.
Great. Thank you. I think good learning there. Yes, science is boring and it need not be. It's our job to make science sexy. And if it is not, we are not going to be able to do a very good job of marketing it. Well, thank you so much for your time, everybody. It was a great learning for me personally, and I hope for our audiences also. I don't know, they've been sending me tweets now to wrap it up. Do we have any time for any questions? Or
Just in case if somebody has a question, it'd be great.
So maybe just one question?
It's open. It's an open mic, just in case if you have a question.
Open to anybody for a question.
They don't want their board.
There is a gentleman right there.
Yes, please.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, I was kind of late, but I come from Caldema, handle the Cetaphil baby portfolio. Something that I want to ask with the new age digital, and as we see a lot of healthcare brands are moving towards consumers, there is a lot of opportunity wherein we build the HCP through digital. So as a marketer, how much critical is it to ensure that we engage with our set of doctors, that is dermas, pedias, through digital platforms? I need to understand, does it make sense wherein you have a touch point wherein your person directly reaches out to that individual and has that personal touch, a couple of minutes or say around 30 odd seconds that he spends inside a cabin, versus a digital intervention wherein you're reaching to mass number of doctors and you're not really sure if it is, I mean, the conversion metrics are very different as compared to what we see in consumers.
Yeah, you should.
Sure. Please go.
That's why I could have answered, but he will not like.
So I'll tell you what, the work of the platform is to bring the doctor and the patient, to be patient, I will say the consumer closer, right? That's all the care part that we were discussing. It's relevant, why? Because that consumer is already searching. It's not about that 30-second in the cabin, but after that is the engagement, or before that is the questions that I'm trying to get answered for myself, right, as a patient. So it's, I can talk about, we have some 30 plus doctors on board, and we are running almost 800 plus digital platform equivalents for them, whether be it their GPPs, be it their profiles, be it their Twitter handles, by the way. So we are running that, and that's a very core strategy for us to bring closer to consumer.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashish. And I think any more questions, we can take it offline and during our conversation. We are running short of time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
May I request the team to join us for a quick photo op, and may I also request Mr. Harbinder Narula, CEO, BW Healthcare, to join us on stage to present mementos to our esteemed panelists. Let's give them a huge round of applause, everybody. We thank them for their time, their expertise, and their valuable opinions. Special thank you to Mr. Ashish Bajaj, to Avil Suri, to Karthik Johari, to Ritu Mittal, for also a big thank you to Mr. Sunil Nath, and how can I miss on our session chair, Rashmi Thosa. Thank you so much for joining in. And may I request for a quick photo op on stage, a quick photo op, everybody. A huge round of applause, everybody. Zordar taaliyan ho jaye. And thank you so much, team, for joining in. Thank you so much, Mr. Narula, for doing the honors as well. I'd like to thank all the panelists, our speakers, for their thoughts for today. Ladies and gentlemen, keep tweeting using the hashtag E4M, Health and Wellness, and continue to keep the buzz alive, because, like I say, picture abhi, baki hai mere dost. Yes, you've been a fabulous audience, but now it's time to take it to the next level, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for E4M Health and Wellness Awards 2023. And before we start off with the awards, I'd like to draw your attention on the screen for a very interesting AV. So let's have a look at the AVs.